reality really is not complete. He says you think it's sufficient. If your understanding of the reality of the way things really are is incomplete, you understand that your view of that is limited. So, and this is where we get to this image of the boat in the ocean. What you see, or what you may think you see, is a circle of water around you. But the true understanding is that is only one view. And the ocean is neither round nor square. Its features are infinite in variety. It is like a palace. It is like a jewel. Those appearances of a palace and a jewel are ways that the ocean might appear to some other kinds of beings, like fishes or deities or other people with greater or different understanding. All things are like this. So, multiplicity of points of view. We have something that we might see here. We have another view of what Hokusai might imagine in his very dynamic imagination of the ocean. Though there are many features in the dusty world and the world beyond conditions, you see and understand only what your eye of practice can reach. It's a different view. It's equally valid. There's not just one truth of the ocean. Its features are infinite in variety. Whole worlds are there. It is so not only around you, but also directly beneath your feet or in a drop of water. So, I think one of the ideas that keeps coming back to me in relative to Zen practice and the practice of my practice as a design professional is the importance of at least recognizing the opportunity of these different points of view. I recognize that my view as the architect, whatever that means, is not the same as the point of view of my client. It's not the same as the point of view of a construction professional. It's not the point of view of a regulator in the city code enforcement division. Every player in that opera has a different position in this reef, and this is kind of a really great touchstone for me to be aware of this sort of multiplicity of points of view. And I have come to see the design process as a way of endeavoring to communicate and balance these points of view that can be expressed by myself as well as other people involved in the process. And so here I want to show this. This is a case in point, a moment of awakening. This is where I felt like I had become the poster child for the disaster of the linear design process. And this is a very historically important house in Houston. It's on Lazy Lane. It was built in 1964, and it was designed by Howard Barnstone and Eugene Aubrey, eminent architects in the history of modern architecture in Houston. This is the view of the back. That's the living room. So I was working at a firm at the time that received a call from a new owner of this building, and at the time it looked just like this, even though it was taken 20 years after this photo. It was exactly like that, AP and everything, when I went there. And the new owner wanted to renovate this building and move into it. And I knew something about this building, and I was thrilled. I was, it's not exactly my favorite, but it's important. And I was very respectful, and continue to be very respectful of this building and what these architects were trying to do and what they in fact did in a very dramatic way. And did some research on this. And there's writings about this. Stephen Fox, who's not here, has written about this building and written about Howard Barnstone at great length and very eloquently. So the point is, this building is on the cultural map, and these people wanted to buy this and change it and do something in it. said, oh great, you know, this is gonna be a big responsibility, and, well, what do you wanna do? Well, we wanna move into it, and we want to remodel it, you know. Well, what's that mean? Well, we want it to be Mediterranean. And, okay, and so I didn't know what to do. I you know, can't tell you some of the things I thought at the time, and I just decided I was going to listen and go to the meeting and see what came up. So we went out there and looked at this, and I was trying to figure out how to make this thing Mediterranean, and what that means, what that even means. So I did exactly what Cameron described. I started at the beginning of the boxcar linear approach, and listened, talked, took pictures, took a few measurements, went away and worked on it, and came back with this. That was our first response. And it went with some diagrams that kind of explained it a little bit. But these are rooms and rooms and room sizes and areas, and this isn't the same one, it's just an example of it, but it looked just like this, and these are different options. You see some repetition in there about what can be done. And that was the last meeting we had. And I was the main presenter in that design meeting, programming meeting, and Woody walked out of there and probably left a six-figure architectural fee on the table. And never found out until about 2 weeks later what happened. They just didn't call us back. Well, we knew they wanted Mediterranean, but what we didn't know was they wanted a rendering. They didn't want numbers. They wanted, what's it going to look like? So this is a very painful, at the time, very painful experience of the failure of rational thinking in this kind of field. And this is just an image that I pulled up, but what it represents is this is not it. It's just an image I got, but it's kind of like what I had, you know. This is the kind of image that came to me when they said, you didn't show us a rendering. Okay, that didn't work out too well. Well, it wasn't going to be really like this. It might have been like this. Or it might have been like this. We don't know. In fact, it was something else, because even this imagination was an error. They didn't know what they were talking about. They didn't know what Mediterranean was. They just wanted it not to be brick. And they wanted stucco instead of brick. And that was Mediterranean enough for them. And so what we have here is like a fiasco of misunderstanding that's all driven by people's sincere aspirations vis-a-vis their particular training or lack thereof, and just a total miscommunication. So, and not only that, but I realized my personal understanding changed in this, and I realized at that time to always listen. The person has a legitimate view, whether or not there's any agreement about it, but it's good material for communication. And I've also found that the client usually ends up getting what they want, regardless of whether they work with us or not. So it's a very, it's a very interesting field for interaction. And another thing I didn't do is I was jumping around in my mind at the time. This is all in my memory, of course, and it's been many years ago, but I'm jumping around in my mind of these kinds of images, which have their place. Their place wasn't on that building, but what I didn't do was think about it in a different way. I mean, I didn't even go here. This to me is a wonderful building in Morocco, and it's not like the Meyer House in River Oaks, but it's